Hey, hello, thank Giles. Thank you, and I'm very happy to be here with all you today. We are going to show you our transformation journey in finance and operation at the Chalhoub Group. And as I assume that most of you do not know the company, I will spend just a few minutes to introduce the group and also our. So just very briefly, Chalhoub is the leading luxury retailer in the Middle East. This has been founded in 1955, so or 60 years ago, and is embarking a long journey of representing a lot of brands here in the Middle East, and more noticeably of the Louis Vuitton Group and a number of other many more brands, around 300 brands in the region. When it comes to the key numbers of the group, we have over 750 stores in the region, over 20 websites, and we employ more than 12,000 people and 300 brands in the region. As I said, the finance and transformation journey for the group has been part of overall transformations, which started 900 days ago. We named it Shift, and basically it was about transforming the group from a traditional brick and mortar retailer into a luxury lab hybrid retailer. So our vision today is to become a hybrid retailer, offering luxury experience to the fingertips of our customers everywhere. So as part of this journey, we also embark in an overall transformation for our back office operations that I'm leading together with the finance part. So today I would like to talk to you about basically our transformation in finance and operation. Sorry, bit of problem. So when it comes to the finance part, we have basically identified three key trends and three pillars for transformation that we have worked since embarking in this transformation journey. We name it that the finance factory, the self-service finance, and the real-time finance trend. So when it comes to the finance factory, basically this first part of the transformation was about automating all the transactional part of finance, or the basically rule-based accounting, through utilization of robots and RPA technology to augment the finance workforce. We started this journey back in 2017, and today we have achieved around 30% optimization in our manpower costs for the transactional part of finance. So what I'm going to do today, for the sake of time, is just to give you a bit of a quick snapshot of the various elements that we have worked on in this automation journey. So prior to 2019, so between 17 and 19, we worked on a number of small, let's say, pilot automation through various elements of the accounting part. Here I have an example of where we work on the freight invoice recording process. Obviously, as a retailer, we have a lot of imports and a lot of invoices from freight forwarders, around 5,000 invoices per month. Today, we have one robot doing this and zero manual intervention. We have worked also on our intercompany reconciliation process, around 1,500 invoices and reconciliation per month. Again, intervention RPA, today we have zero manual intervention. And the same for supplier statement reconciliation. This was the initial part of our journey. In 2020, we just finished, we accelerated further. I'm not going to go through all of this. I will only want to maybe give you a bit of introduction of what happened on this part, because I think is the most interesting one. So we have, through our own internal in-house team, I'm going to chat a second later on about it, our center of excellence, basically work on setting up an internal in-house accounting portal where we have a full track of all our accounting transactions. So basically in our in-house shared service center in Dubai, we have the real-time visibility now of all the transactional part of accounting in real time by process and by accountant. So we know exactly how many, for example, reconciliation are performed in any day, on any moment of the day by any accountant, or how many invoices are booked, or how many reconciliations are done, etc. And this can be measured against, obviously, KPI being allocated on an individual basis and against, on a consolidated level, SLA by accounting process. This SLA is an infrastructure, so if you happen to visit our office in Dubai, we'll be able to show how this is work on real time, so visual management and screens in each of the accounting offices. Another piece of work which was started this year is about this. So the invoice booking part through the partnership with the UAE part, which is one of the biggest player in the region. And we marry this together with optical scan recognition technology, so for which basically invoices from certain number of suppliers are now basically scanned through the OCR technology and then automatically booked in our system without any human touch. And similarly, we've done it for a lot of other parts in the accounting part, from the automatic-based statement, VAT returns, etc. So the acceleration here, the comment is that technology is basically becoming more and more accessible from cost perspective, and business case becoming more and more easy in terms of basically augmenting the current workforce utilization of technology, helping us to streamline processes and reduce cost. So for next year, or we say now this year, we are planning basically more of the same. So we are accelerating the same. We will work on the leasing part, as our leasing contract in stores is quite complex and historically be managed manually. And now again, we're going to utilize automation. And this is, you can find here on the back, on the bottom part on the right, Adam and Eve, it's our first robots. Again, we are going to, have been started in 2020 and are basically managing all our payable processes and hosted in Holland, in fact. So the first trend, as said, is related to the finance factory. The second trend we can envisage and we work on is what we call the self-service finance. Because basically what we are talking here is to replace complex ERP data with very much more intuitive and interactive dashboards available for non-finance users at the touch of the bottom. So we don't have any more the finance team in charge of say making sense of very complex reporting, but the report is made available to the user in a much more intuitive, non-finance, let me say, format. So again, here a very short snapshot of what happened since the beginning of the journey on this. So basically, we used to have in 2017, as we have around 71 legal entities which are consolidated on a monthly basis, a chart of accounts which was very much different across the various entities. So we have to standardize the same. And at the time, the consolidation was done in Excel by day 25 of the following months. That's basically the starting point. And we start the journey, we start automating both P&L and balance sheet utilizing Oracle BI tool. And the consolidation was performed in a legacy platform, which was already available at the time, which, the SAP Business Object. We started producing the first pilot of the dashboard in Power BI for the sales part. So this is the start of the journey in 18. We accelerated in 19, basically, by implementing Hyperion for the budgeting and forecasting part, which again used to be in Excel. And we started our first pilot on predictive forecasting project in OnSeer. And we moved basically the dashboard that we started in 2018 on a mobile version. So now is available at the touch of the bottom on a daily basis for all the management team, for all the brands of the group. In 2020, we moved further. So basically, what we done it, we now made 6 Power BI dashboard on complete financial reporting available for all the teams to verify or to have deep access to financial performance on all nitty-gritty details. So all management team is now capable of seeing there is what is the marketing cost by store, by brand, or if I want to compare my productivity across malls, across region, at the touch at the bottom. And we have accelerated, and maybe I just show you, this is what we have put in place basically for all the brands. And this is just obviously an example. And basically it's very easy and intuitive for the team to access and have insights on the business performance. We also moved the consolidation in Oracle Hyperion, and we moved from day 15, where we used to be in the past, to day 12 at a group level. Yeah. So going forward for next year, we are basically moving into Google BigQuery all our reporting. Today, basically the dashboard that I showed before for Swarovski as an example is working at a general ledger level. Tomorrow we will have the information by transaction within each GL available again through query available in dashboard, interlinking basically with Google BigQuery. The idea is to accelerate further with the streamlining and acceleration on our reporting process. So we have a target of moving to day 5 by next year, in fact by Q1 of next year. And we will also going to integrate in Power BI what we have today, which is our management account. We'll put together with our statutory consolidated view, will also be available on a monthly basis. So this is basically the part that we're working on the self-service finance, making the information available easily to the team at the touch of the bottom. Yeah. The third one, which is very much connected to the self-service finance, is real-time finance. Now, here the point is, what I want trying to make is that we see that the decision-making process is moving out of traditional reporting cycles. So decision will not be linked anymore to wait for the next month's report to come, but we're moving more and more into an environment of real-time finance. We saw this in place with sales today, and retail KPIs, which are also available when it comes to conversion or basket. But going forward, the idea is that we will make more and more information available in real time to our management team without the need to wait for the standard or the older style, let me say, traditional closing process. So elements of, like, for example, margins, there is no reason why we should not make this available on a real time basis to business. So this is, let me say, conclude the first part of what I want to chat with you today, which is related to the finance part. What I would like to do is also maybe give you a bit of an overview of what's happening on the rest of the back office operation, which I'm also leading. So on top of the finance part. So similarly, with what we done in finance, in order to support the group transformation into a hybrid retailer, we also launched a number of initiatives for digitalization of our back office processes. I'm referring here to procurement and supply chain. This is another good example, but there are many more that we're working on. So I again would like to share with you a bit of what has been done in these two functions in the last few years. So procurement basically was not in place in the group procurement centrally, was not in place until last 2019 basically. So we started centrally on a pilot basis on few areas, and to basically centralize procurement with support of external consulting company. And then in 2020, we basically launched our procurement or set up our procurement department. Here, I think the learning I would like to share with you today is that we decided to start from the data analytics part, because when we have to launch any procurement optimization initiative, we found ourselves say not blind, but very much obstructed by the fact that the granular information was not already available to identify opportunities for procurement optimization. So the idea of having to launch a P2P platform and invest on it without having availability of granular information on spend was not, say, ringing bells. So we have basically invested in a very good tool to give us visibility and granular visibility of our spend in 2020. So the plan for 2021 will be now to launch a fully fledged P2P platform, which is being studied and launched as we speak, with a clear target of optimizing our procurement spending in the year to come. The other function I want to have a quick chat with you is supply chain. Now, I think in this case, maybe just a few words of intro. The group is moving from traditional brick and mortar to hybrid retailer. So this obviously is not limited, but also encompasses a strong acceleration in our e-commerce sales, which this year we more than double. In fact, we can quadruple. And we have now a strong objective of further acceleration in the market. So this requires obviously a reshaping of our supply chain, both downstream in terms of transforming from traditional B2B business of logistics into more of a B2C fulfillment logistic support to the e-commerce and last mile, and also upstream when it comes to improving the availability of the stock, again in an hybrid world, so both in brick and mortar but also in the e-commerce part. So we have to revisit completely our supply chain function. In 2019, we defined a strategic roadmap for starting from the upstream supply chain. So all the demand planning part, we started selecting a platform supporting us on the demand planning part, and we have set up very strong data office in the same year at the end of 2019 to work to give us the granular data view at the SKU level required, again at the touch of the button, for us to be able to work. So we have set up a Looker database. This is just an extract on one of the brands on the e-commerce, and again is available to all the management team to verify performance on supply chain, on anything which is related to again stock availability, so on the shelf availability, cancellation of orders, etc. The remaining element obviously will be the full rollout of the demand planning tool, but also full implementation of the roadmap for the downstream part. So all the B2C transformation and fulfillment, which is paramount for us to be able to accelerate our e-commerce as in our strategic plan. So, and this is another example of automation which I put here, because we're also working on the back office supply chain at the same time. So all the activities is another good example of transactional I was mentioning before, when talking about the finance factory and talking about the possibility to automate the transactional part. There is obviously a big transactional part or processes also in supply chain when it comes to elements like managing purchase orders or inputting purchase orders. So all this, which used to be managed manually, we're now working on automation and RPA to automate. So we created a kind of big central back office administration team for supply chain, and through automation we will work on optimizing the transactional part. This transformation has been relying on two key pillars. One is us being able to select and master the key technology and technology partners to work with, so that we were in a position to accelerate the transformation. And this has also been enabled through the setup of a center of excellence. So the center of excellence was not in place in 2019. We set up basically as business process improvement in 2019, start working on streamlining processes and utilize available technology to optimize processes. For example, here is the non-merchandise purchase order management in Oracle, which is a good example. Then in 2020, we basically transformed the business process improvement into a true center of excellence, putting together the original, say, part, which was the lean management process part, with a new automation center of expertise. So we have recruited experts in the field of RPA to help us implementing the tech solution I was mentioning you before. So the Hive I was mentioning before, the UiPath, and SAP Celonis is another data mining tool helping us for process optimization. So the Center of Excellence has been very instrumental for us to be able to accelerate the transformation from a technology perspective, and I would say also from change management perspective, because none of this transformation will be possible without driving let me say, the acceptance level and pushing for the change management part. So there is a lot of training and retraining and convincing of people to onboard all these new technologies and new processes. So the Center of Excellence has been working on facilitating this change management. The last, but not least, in fact, for me, probably the most important, let me say, part of this has been our people strategy. So basically, what he's saying here is that we envisage that there is no possibility of tech transformation without people transformation. So we have invested a very big amount of time and energy to try to put together a people strategy would facilitate let me say, the transformation and the acceptance of the change required. So this has been, let me say, another journey in itself. I would like just to briefly describe to you. First, when I edited the functions I'm leading, so all the, not just the finance, but the support service part, so what we call it FAST, which stands for finance, administration, accounting, supply chain, sourcing, and treasury. The function were coming from all different parts of the business, were not stay together. So we have to basically put in place a new stream and trying to define a common direction for all the functions, obviously supporting the overall group strategy of transformation into an hybrid retailer. So we basically work together with the teams to define a common vision, values, purpose, and methods, which we think were instrumental to drive the transformation that we were looking for. So we have defined certain key principles around people empowerment, value creation, and basically innovation and excellence. We drive all the functions as part of in a concerted and aligned manner as a one vision across all the team. But then the question became, okay, now we've done that, but what people strategy we can put in place to facilitate this transformation? So at the beginning of 2020, I'm saying the world was a bit different before pandemic, but we have defined 4 key pillars for us to drive the required transformation around the principle of attract, engage, grow, and communicate. So again, I will not go through all of these elements, but I think probably the 2 most important one I think I would like to stress is probably the work we done on this part, which is the redefinition of the competency framework for each function. Because take the example of finance. Yeah, I think conclusion after quickly discuss about finance transformation, I think everybody would agree that the finance already today, and even more in 5 years' time, will not be anymore the same function which it used to be. because with so many traditional activities of transactional and reporting being taken over by robots, the role of finance will need to evolve very much into a business partnering role, capable of driving action plans out of insights produced in the interaction between humans and again, digital tools. So the profile of the finance of the future will be very, very different from what used to be in the past. So there is a need of defining what will be the new competencies in the finance of the future, what we call the jobs of the future. Yeah? And if finance used to be in a certain way and needs to be different in few years' time, obviously there is a journey in terms of upskilling team or recruiting new style talents to drive that transformation. Yeah? So this has been replicated. I mentioned in finance, but the same can be said for any function that we have gone through as a transformation from supply chain and procurement, administration, etc. Yeah? So very, very important pillar for us in terms of delivering our strategy, the time spent on all this. And I want to stress one point: none of what is presented here in terms of people strategy has been a pure top-down exercise. Everything here has been defined as a bottom-up. Yeah. So we're here to people concerned on one side, and we have involved all the management team to define how to respond to the same. Yeah. So it's very, very much of a team effort. That's very, very important to get the buy-in. So I will not bother you with all the details, but basically we have cascaded down each function. Each function came with its own vision in line with what we have defined centrally. I think one key thing I want to give you as a message here is that we are quite serious in how we measure and we are quite engaged as a team and how we measure the engagement of our team. We have an internal score called Employee Net Promoter Score, which is basically mimicking what we do for the sales, where we measure the Net Promoter Score of our customer, so in terms of our sales. So this is replicated for the employees. And what is the message here is that through all the actions which we put in place in terms of people strategy, we have managed to get a very big increase in employee engagement score in our team this year for all the stream, but also for each individual function. Yeah. So I'm very proud of this. I think this is one of the most relevant, let's say, measurement from my side of the success of what we're trying to do. As above all, in a year of so difficult as 2020, we have managed to increase team engagement significantly through all the actions which have been put in place in terms of people strategy. And this is, I mean, for me, is a never-ending journey. Yeah. So we are already during our budget 2021 defining the new people strategy for 2021. This is just an example of what's going to happen in 2021. We're going to launch our finance graduate program and recruiting people from fresh graduates from top universities and having rotational program on finance. Yeah. So we are moving and again rediscussing with the management team what actions need to be done to make sure that we're ready for the future. Yeah. There is no alternative on evolution other than dying. So that's basically the message, and everybody is working on the same page. So to conclude, what I think as a key takeaways of this very, very quick presentation. So I think it's clear, as I was mentioning before, that finance is not going to be anymore the same function. We're not going to disappear. We will still all be there. But that finance is going much more to become of a command decision center, providing real-time business insights. And this will be given through interactive dashboard, no more traditional reporting. So make it much more intuitive for finance and non-finance community to interact. All the traditional rule-based traditional accounting activities will become much more leaner. Thanks to automation, cost of technology is dropping very, very rapidly. So digital transformation is here to stay, and robots RPA will be utilized to augment the capacity of the finance team to deliver more with less. Yeah, traditional reporting cycles are going to become less relevant, as the trend will be much more towards a real-time finance. And last but not least, I want to again to stress that in my perspective, in my opinion, there is no real digital transformation without people and cultural transformation. Yeah? So we need to be ready for the jobs of the future. So make sure that our teams are appropriate, skilled with a new skill set required to tackle the new environment. Yeah, and to be ready to work on the new technology and new environment. And that is from my side. I really would like to leave a few minutes for Q&A rather than me talking alone. If you want to.
Paolo, thank you. Brilliant talk, really good insights into the transformation there. Thank you for sharing that. Let me jump straight into the questions. We've had a few come through. The first one was from Patrick, and Patrick has asked you, how much change did you have to make in the finance team to enable the team with the internal capabilities to drive this change process? Given the history of the company was probably very traditionally run, so was there a huge turnover, and how long did it take to build a capable internal team to partner with external consultants and help drive this fantastic automation of the finance function? Sorry, that's a long question.
Wow, yes, it's a big question. So let's say that finance are the one I'm more in control of, because before being appointed as CFO, I was the group head of finance for the group. So I've been following the process for quite a good time. I joined the group in 2015. It's not a short journey, yeah? And I think it's quite obvious that you will not move from A to B in months. Yeah, we have started from fixing the basics, as I was trying to say before, and we have gradually, let me say, decided or evaluated who could make the cut in terms of moving into the next level of finance and who couldn't. And so we have also, yes, recruited good talent from mostly at the lower level of the organization, and promoted internally to higher level the good talents that have been identified. So the job done between, let me say, 16, 17 was to identify who among the existing finance team will be able to progress to a higher level in the new finance world, and who could not make it. So we have taken some obviously tough decision in terms of asking few people to go, not a lot, I have to say, but few people to go. And we have recruited talent at the lower and middle level to replace the ones with being promoted at higher level. So I'm very proud to say today that the great majority of my team, my reported lines, are all being grown internally in the last 5 years. We haven't recruited a lot from the market at the top level of the organization, but yes, we have recruited quite a lot on the bottom level, trying to inject new fresh blood of new people coming, bringing new idea, new approach, helping us to accelerate the transformation. So I'm not sure I addressed all the questions, but there were a lot. Yes, it's true. The company was traditionally run when I joined in 15, but I think the injecting new people, new capabilities, has helped us a lot to accelerate, and the awareness of what could be done differently was very much there. Obviously, again, finance the transformation of finance was not isolated. It was part of overall group transformation. So the environment was also favorable in terms of supporting such journey as part of the overall group transformation.
Excellent, thanks, Paolo. We've had a couple of questions come in on the technology side. I'll start with the one from Lester, yes, who asks, obviously, if you can share, what is your core ERP system?
We work in Oracle.
Okay. And then a follow-on, a similar question from Anna, who asks, why did you choose in-house consolidation reporting tool versus an established off-the-shelf solution such as SAP Cloud? And then secondly, what is the technology that you choose for your in-house consolidating reporting tool?
Okay, so there's very much a cost-benefit, let me say, analysis. The ERP solution, obviously, ERP Oracle, I found it as a legacy. It's not a decision I have taken, because it's been in the group for more than 50, I think 12, 13 years already. But unfortunately, what's happening is these ERP technologies today tend to be quite expensive, and the market is moving in a certain direction as the cost of technology is going down rapidly. So we have decided, either in many cases, after doing a cost-benefit analysis and see what the capability of the system, not to necessarily rely on and say the big players in terms of the solution, but also utilize we say vertical specialists for certain elements, for example, the procurement data analytics I was talking before, etc. So for the consolidation part, we utilize a quite a niche product, which is from Northern Europe, called, I think it's called Arrow, if I remember well, which is working quite well. And it's very much integrated. We have basically integrated in-house with our Oracle system, and is working perfectly well. I don't know if the question is just talking about consolidation. The other one I was mentioning, which is basically the backbone of our monitoring system for the transactional part, which is called Hive, has been developed completely in-house by our technology team. So it's not, we haven't really bought it from the market. You can say that it didn't cost us anything other than the cost of the salaries of the team which work on. But certainly something like this would have cost us multiples of times of what we have spent internally, because it's very, very comprehensive. It's covering all the processes of the group for the accounting part.
Thank you. Another question has come through asking or mentioning, it's surprising to see supply chain and procurement function reporting to the CFO. Is that something that you would recommend for large companies, or is it better to be under a chief logistics officer or a chief procurement officer?
Okay, so is a question. I agree with the question. Let me say it this way. The point was that when I have been given the CFO title, the function were very much immature in the life cycle, and so procurement was not existent. I was the main sponsor to launch it. So we have finally now in 2020 hired a chief procurement person reporting to me. I think from my experience, procurement is not so uncommon to have it within the finance part, at least for the service. Obviously, if you have big manufacturing company with big procurement for raw materials or the kind of for factories, etc., then it's a different story. But we are a retailer, so we are only buying services in our procurement. When it comes to merchandise, this is bought by each individual brand, so it's out of this office. For the supply chain, yes, it's less common to be part of the finance part. In fact, again, it's been incubated, let me say in this way, in my function during the initial period, and we already take the decision at the beginning of 2021 to migrate. So we create a new function of Chief Operating Officer, and now the function is going to go into that new function. Basically, I agree. For me, supply chain is a bit, let me say, not common to be in the finance part.
Thank you. And also you mentioned as part of this transformation, you were one of the big sponsors. Maria's asked the question, did you receive any pushback on your vision from senior board members, and how did you deal with that?
Well, say change without resistance will not be fun. So yes, certainly we have received. I can say that we have to face few good headwinds during this journey. Not very much on finance, I have to say, because I mean I'm the owner in a way, so it's very much about this me coming to the board and said I will give you the number 5 days before. Who is going to tell me no, I don't want it, or I'm going to give you a very easy, intuitive dashboard for you to click, and rather than a piece of paper you don't understand, who is going to tell you no, I don't want. So finance is kind of done in-house with limited resistance. The delicate point on finance is related to the people management on the transactional part, because obviously this related to the potential downsizing of team, restructuring of team. So that is the most delicate part, but not out of the function, is more of an inner part. Yeah. When it comes to the other functions, like supply chain, which was probably the most difficult, and procurement was also not easy. It is more complicated because it's cross-functional, and you go and touch the DNA and the let me say the core of the activities of commercial teams. So a lot has been made, a lot of effort has been made, and sitting with the teams to explain. So first we strategize a roadmap, then we share the roadmap, and obviously this was done in a round of realignment and deciding how to implement. So getting the buy-in on the roadmap, showing the benefit of the transformation from a business perspective, and then negotiating the best way of piloting the implementation. And so we never went big bang on any of this. So we started always on small. So let's select 3 brands to start. Let's select one function. So for the supply chain, we started from some pilot brands. We implemented a new platform on demand planning on certain, only certain part of the business. We hired data analysts or demand planner also only for certain part of the business. So we kind of moved in parallel between old world and new world to show that, yes, if we manage properly in the new world, look at the difference between the new and the old. So let's make everybody go in the same speed. And the same for procurement. And imagine after 50 years going to all the department, start saying, you're not going to buy anymore what you want, but we will extract this decision making from you, and we will decide centrally. Obviously, we will not decide alone, but it will be an independent evaluation, etc., etc. So it's not easy thing to do. So again, we started from certain functions. We show big benefit in terms of the opportunity, not just in terms of price optimization, but also in terms of quality of service provided by best-in-class partners, etc. So one after the other, we move from the IT part, and then the admin part, and then the insurance part, and now we are into the marketing part, etc., etc. So yes, a lot of I can write a book on this, but I think it's been good fun, and in a way, the principle is always the same. Go there in full transparency, trying to sell the benefit to the counterpart. Is not about anybody ego trip. It's not about building an empire. It's about creating a support structure with help business to flourish. And in a way, I have to say, with all the situation getting the commercial situation getting tougher and tougher, even pre-COVID, but obviously with COVID even much more. There is certainly a need for all businesses to make sure that you can optimize your bottom line. For every dollar of sales, you can extract more sense of profit. All these functions are there to support business to do that. So let me say the external environment situation, it's very favorable in all these exercise in terms of optimization.
Brilliant, thank you. We've had a couple of questions come through on a similar topic, so it must be important to people. Someone said, thank you for sharing such an amazing journey. With such a big project, did you have any external partners to help you with your digital transformation?
Yeah, so initially back, I mean, when it comes to group, we had an external consultant who help us to define the roadmap for the digital transformation. So he worked at the level of the shift program I mentioned before. When it comes to our own transformation for the back office, honestly, no. Everything has been done when defining the roadmaps and the direction for finance, for the supply chain, for procurement, etc. Everything has been done in-house. I don't really believe in, let me say, deputizing or allocating this responsibility on. I think every function should have the enough competence level to be able to define the roadmap without asking consultant to draft it for us. So what we done was rather to invest in hiring or allocating the right level of senior leadership level a new head of supply chain or new head of procurement, which brought with them a wealth of experience in this respective, so they basically subject matter expert, and being able to do and drive this. Yeah, I have only area where I have taken the right decision, I think, to really get support of external consultant was on our tech part, because technology is very complex world. So having somebody which have the deep expertise on the tech world to be able to advise me on the best solutions that we can go through, and obviously entertaining with the Gartner of the world, all the conversations of what could be the best solution for this specific one and the other one, etc. Because that it's very, very sensitive, matter. So, and I'm very pleased with that decision, because it's very difficult for anybody to be an expert of technology across so many different streams, and the risk of being wrong is maybe very, very expensive. So we done it well in that sense. So we're working very well, but this is not a big consulting, it's really an expert advisor, let me say, more than a consultant.
Thank you. And we have time for one more question, so apologies, there are a few more that are going to go unanswered. But for anybody who does have questions or wants to connect with Paolo after this session, he is on LinkedIn, so please do make your way there to connect and discuss. But one last question that's come through from Marco is, congratulations for driving such a company-wide transformation. Would you like, and obviously I'll caveat this with if you can, would you like to share what didn't work well with each success story?
Well, what did not work well? It was, let me say, before somebody asked about the resistance. Yeah. So there have been a few occasions where the headwinds were very, very strong. So we have to push hard. So we had to burn certain bridges at a point, because you can support and be there and trying to explain and re-explain. But when you observe that there is, say again, a position start becoming personal, and you want to defend your own territory rather than thinking about the benefit of the group, then yes, we have to do what needs to be done. Yeah. So we have to escalate and said burn few bridges if we have to do that. So I think as one of my first bosses used to say, I mean, we as a finance person, you are not there you're not paid necessarily to make friends. So we have to push hard, and in certain cases this resulted in certain organizational conflict. So that's the in a way sometimes the price to be paid, but I think we were all under pressure to deliver at certain speed. The external environment pressure is very high, so there is not too much time for ego conversations. Yeah, so it's very much about making it happen. So be assertive at my advice. Be patient to people, trying to explain to them, but then if you understand that you need to make it happen. So that it's important. Yeah.
Brilliant. Paolo, once again, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for sharing that talk.
Thank you again, and it's been a pleasure. And any more questions that you want to later on, I will be happy to respond.